Hey there, it's Lacey J, here to ask you to go to spacebearmedia.com right now to access all our content, buy yourself some merch, and most importantly, send us a message, a question, fan mail, even hate mail. We'll respond on YouTube. Also, please remember to rate and review the podcast on your favorite app or share it with someone you know who loves Lost. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Lost in My 40s, Season 5, Episode 16. It's called The Incident, Part 1. It's a Jacob episode, and it's a Derek episode, and it's the end of Season 5. But first, how's everybody doing?
Great.
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 Can you believe that we are recording the end of Season 5 right now? This is so nuts. This was just a silly idea I had during the pandemic, and here we are almost through it. I'm very
Pandemic's
excited.
over,
How about
baby.
you?
Yeah.
Well,
We made it through
we
it.
made it. Well, we all survived. All right. So,
Yep.
today you're going to get this episode, and you're also going to get part 2. And you're also going to get our bonus episode, which I'm going to plug for half a second. You can download all 3 of those today. And in the bonus episode, we are, of course, talking about fan theories after Season 5. A couple extra fun facts about our power rankings, including the new aggregate has Hurley held on to the top. And we're going to learn about the Mandela effect. And because of Christy now twice, I'm going to talk a little bit about the butterfly effect. And of course, we will dive deeper into some of the time travel and see if we can get Christy's head to wrap around it. Plus, Derek's biggest questions before we head into the end of this fucking show. But before we do any of that, Benjamin, could you please update us on where the power rankings look at the end of episode 15 before we finish Season 5? Please.
Yeah, I will. We have third from the bottom. We have a tie with negative 45 points. Both Ethan the Psycho and Phil the Chode.
Oh my gosh, I
Second.
can't believe there's no more kids. I can't believe it. None of the kids are going to medal, I guess.
Ethan was technically like a teenager or something at this point.
Oh, that's right.
so-
Ethan is the 2-day-old baby. Just
No,
kidding.
he was,
No, we're killing the 12-year-old.
he was the teenager last time, remember?
Okay. All right. Oopsie.
And then second from the bottom, we have Charles Widmore with negative 61 points. And running away with the bottom is Radzinski with negative 82 points. At the winner's podium,
That's what I
we've
think.
got Locke in the bronze position with 72 points. Dan Faraday in silver with 81 points. And the golden boy Sawyer with 133 points.
Yeah, boy. Is he the golden boy or is he the oily boy?
He's really more the bronze oily boy, but, you know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Is everybody ready now to meet the man in black?
Yep, let's do it.
Do it.
All right.
And Jacob.
Yes. Here we go. The incident part 1. Derek, please introduce us to Jacob and the man in black.
Okay, we start off in flashback number 1, which is determined to be 1867 on the island. A blonde man wearing a white shirt and dark brown pants is spinning thread in a large, cavernous, stone-columned room. The far wall is decorated with a faded painting of the winged Egyptian Isis or ISIS?
ISIS.
ISIS. Oh, like the terrorist group.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're known for healing and magic as well.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay, yeah.
To be fair, the Greek goddess of Isis was first. Though.
Was first. Also,
Yeah.
also
Or Egyptian.
Egyptian was
You're-
probably first, yeah.
Yeah.
Egyptian,
was.
yes. Although I will say we are going to talk a little bit on this podcast about why we find both Egyptian and Greek writing inside this statue foot. But I'm so sorry, you're going to have to wait till season 6, episode 1. I already have those fun facts done, and it will be about that and about the tapestry that Derek is about to mention. But as far as ISIS and what was first, also, so was the spy team on the animated show Archer. They were called ISIS.
Then they changed that
seasons.
because that became politically...
Yes, toxic. And they actually did have to change it on the show once the ISIS terrorist group was well known, and I think the direction the show took after that was not as good. So look at that, terrorism even fucks up cartoons. Anyway, Derek, back to the Egyptian god Isis.
Yes, that Isis is the goddess of healing and magic. Up from his wheel, the spinner uses a primitive loom to weave his coarse threads into a tapestry that depicts a pair of wings outstretched from an encircled eye of Horus, which is an ancient Egyptian symbol representing protection, health, and restoration.
It's better than the hair of Horus.
Ew. Different Horus, but yeah.
Below the eye appear to be 17 long arms emanating like rays out of the eye. Across the top is a Greek lettered motto from Homer's Odyssey, which translates to, "May the gods grant thee all that thy heart desires."
Cool. I'll take it.
Outside on the beach now, the same man snares a fish and cooks it on a rock over a fire. As he eats, he watches a ship on the horizon, and it's none other than the motherfucking Black Rock.
What?
To be fair, he didn't snare the fish. He caught it in a primitive fish trap basket.
That's true.
What? Doesn't snare just mean to catch?
Well, snaring, I think is like a spear or something like that.
Yeah, like impaling the fish.
Well, you can also use an actual snare, which is like a rope or thread or something like that. That when it snaps, it tightens and it goes around like the leg or something of whatever you're catching.
Okay,
I don't think that works with fish, though.
No, it
probably not. That unless you're trying to like hook a shark, go for a ride or something.
Yeah, that may work on like a seal, but probably not most fish. Yeah.
Well, then I apologize. I have a bizarre vocabulary. There's some really fancy words I know, and there's some really easy words that I don't. Ben can attest to that. But I did just Google it. I thought snare was just like to catch. There are 2 definitions, and you guys are brilliant. 1, a trap for catching birds or animals, typically one having a noose or wire or cord. So there's Ben. Mm-hmm. And number 2, a length of wire, gut, or hide stretch across a drum head to produce a rattling sound. So they mean
drum.
A snare drum.
Ah.
Yeah. All right. So he didn't snare it. My bad.
Okay. Just figured I would, educate.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So another man dressed in a black shirt and gray pants approaches him. They exchange pleasantries, and the blonde man says, "I take it you're here because of the ship." The man in black replies, "I am. How did they find the island?" The blonde man says he can ask them when they make it ashore, and the man in black says, I don't have to ask. You brought them here. Still trying to prove me wrong, aren't you? The blonde man confirms, you are wrong, but the man in black insists, am I? They come, they fight, they destroy, they corrupt. It always ends the same. The blonde man replies, it only ends once. Anything that happens for that is just progress.
I love that line.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? It's so profound. And I love this conversation between these 2 men because it's so casual. Right up until the man in black says the next line that Derek's going to read. But like Jacob, I mean, when he says this, he's so, he's just kind of munching on a piece of fruit, I think, takes a bite and says it like it's the most casual thing, but it's such a profound statement. And I love the way that it's delivered. And I think the actor is great who plays Jacob. Do you guys recognize him, Derek or Christy? Ben and I know one very awesome movie that he is in.
No.
We recognize him
Not
from.
off the top of my head.
He's one of Jackie Treehorn's goons in The Big Lebowski.
You
see what
Big
happens,
Lebowski?
You see what happens?
When they pee on the rug. Yeah, he's one of the guys that come in. He's not the one that pees on the rug, and he's not the one that dunks his head in the toilet. He's the third guy in the room.
No, he actually he does dunk. Well, he dunks the dude's
him?
head in the toilet. Yeah.
Oh, he does dunk the dude's head. I apologize.
He's the one who picks up the bowling ball and he goes,
bowling ball.
What the fuck is this? Obviously, you're not a golfer.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, The Big Lebowski is one of the greatest movies ever made, and the fact that Jacob is in it is pretty cool. So, take us now, Derek, away from the casual chit chat into.
So the men stare at each other for a tense moment, and then the man in black says, "Do you have any idea how badly I want to kill you?"
What?
Turned a little dark there.
Yeah.
I was like, you want some fish? I still have some fish. You can have some if you want. I mean,
one of these days, sooner or later, I'm going to find a loophole, my friend. The blonde man says he'll be right here when that happens. And the man in black says, "Always nice talking to you, Jacob."
Woo! There he is.
There he is, finally. We're talking about him for how many seasons?
at least since the second, right?
Yes,
No.
the second.
No, it's going to be season 3 because we don't find out that Benjamin Linus or Henry Gale is Benjamin Linus until the last episode of season 2. So he mentions Jacob in season 3. But yeah, so sense. A few seasons now. Yeah.
So, and Jacob replies, nice talking to you too. As the man in black walks away, the four-toed statue is finally shown in its colossal entirety. There, on the edge of the beach, holding 2 ankhs, is Taweret, the Egyptian goddess of fertility.
Yeah, you pronounced it right. Taweret. More on that later. Hint, hint.
I wonder what that's going to be.
When the man in black says, one of these days, sooner or later, in my head, I'm going, pow, right in the kisser.
Right in the kisser. To the moon.
To the moon, Jacob. Oh my gosh. Listen to us, Gen X, laughing about television shows where husbands threaten to punch their wives to the moon. That was so normal back then.
Yeah. And I mean, that was way before our time, too.
Oh, of course.
That
yeah,
show
it was
super old when we were born.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I just mean that we are going to be more familiar with it, as the younger generations probably wouldn't get, like, pow, right in the kisser. They don't know what that means.
Right.
We are old enough that was like, the former generation's insane idea of comedy as we were growing up.
A man threatening to punch his wife in the face.
Yeah.
We didn't know it at the time, but that was cringe.
Whoa. All right. So
we have the lost title screen. And then we go into flashback number 2, which is 1987 off the island. And in the parking lot outside a general store, 10-year-old Kate and her BFF she got killed, Tom, stand behind a pickup truck, peering from the side. First I thought it said peeing from the side.
Well, I mean, that would be weird.
Tom is playing with the infamous model airplane toy, and Kate asks, "Are you going to do it?" Tom replies, you do it.
I'm a pussy.
Yeah.
That's why he dies.
Yeah.
Oh my God. 10 years old. She's already trying to drag him into a life of crime. Jesus Christ, Kate.
So Kate agrees, but she said he needs to be on the lookout. The two enter the general store. Cigarette in an Ashtray by Patsy Cline plays over the store speakers. Kate attempts to steal a New Kids on the Block lunchbox.
Fuck yeah. Step by step. Ooh, baby.
Hanging tough.
Listen up, everybody. If you never, I'm not going to do it. God, my sister used to listen to that shit all the time. It was just like that. That's all it was. It was either that or Def Leppard. That's all I heard for like a year fucking straight.
That's so funny because I had weird tastes like that too, where I would go from like New Kids on the Block to Guns N' Roses. Just like,
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, they're both, when it comes down to it, they're both pop music. I mean, Guns N' Roses was a blues rock pop band when it really comes down to it. They were just really good at it. That's why the songs were so catchy.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, while at first it seems as if she has succeeded, she's but she's caught on her way out the door by the shopkeeper. He says, I know you. You're Diane Austin's girl. I'm calling your mom, then the cops, because I don't tolerate stealing here. You understand?
I thought this was good casting, by the way. Did you think the little girl
the kid looks exactly like her. It's even the faces she pulls, it's like, Jesus, that's really well done.
Incredible casting. Like it was somebody's job to go out there after 5 seasons and find a little girl that looks exactly like Kate, and they nailed it, I think.
Yeah, they did.
Did you guys ever shoplift when you were a kid? Did you ever try to get away with it?
When I was a teenager, baseball cards, big time.
Yeah, I stole a bunch of makeup from a CVS once, and then I had this like crisis of conscience, and I confessed it to my mother, and she marched me into the CVS and made me give the merchandise back and apologize to them, and I was banned for a year as like a 12-year-old from the CVS. I wasn't allowed to go inside. Is that so fucking stupid? What kind of a kid shoplifts and then confesses to their parent? That was me. That's what I did.
Never shoplifted in my life.
Wow.
I did a lot when I was a teenager. Lots of makeup from this one store in the mall.
Makeup.
I just really wanted to see if I could get away with it. And then when I did, I felt so bad, I confess.
Oh, yeah, it was such a thrill, like walking out that door, like, oh my God, they're going to catch me. And then you're out, you're like, yes.
I didn't feel that. I was like, cool, I just got free makeup.
That too, yeah.
Well, actually, during my rebellious days, I did download a lot of shit on Napster.
Oh, my God. I'm telling Lars.
Napster bad.
Hey, I work in music royalties, so I was living dangerously there.
Oh my God! Wow. All right. So back to Kate's crime.
So from off screen, a man's voice is heard saying, "No need to do that. I'll pay for it. I hope this is enough." The kids turn their heads to see Jacob, looking just as he did in 1867, handing over some bills. This guy gets around.
Yeah.
See what happens, Lebowski?
The shopkeeper agrees to take the money and then tells Kate not to return to the store. The shopkeeper walks away. Kate looks up at Jacob and says, "Thanks, mister." Jacob kneels to her at eye level and says, "You're welcome. You're not going to steal anymore, are you?" Kate nods and lies and nods, and Jacob boops her on the nose with his index finger. Before leaving, he says, "Be good, Katie."
Whoops. She didn't listen. She doesn't. No. Well, maybe she never stole again. She's just murdering people.
I mean, there was the
whole bank thing.
Heist.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a little bit of stealing there. Yeah.
That did happen. Yes, when they stopped to make out during the bank heist. That was a dumb scene.
That's so stupid.
Oh
she stole her mother's happiness when she blew up her stepfather.
Oh, wow. That was deep, actually. Wow.
Yeah.
She stole his life.
That's right.
Okay, so I'm wrong. That's fine. Are there any other examples?
So in 1977, off the coast of the island, Kate is handcuffed along with Sawyer and Juliet in the Galaga. The captain is announcing the passengers will receive sedatives for the trip soon. Kate says they need to get out of there, and Sawyer replies, "Out of here? We're underwater. What the hell are you doing here? How'd you get caught?"
I can imagine them like all three of them at the same time bursting out of the torpedo tubes.
She says she returned to get him, and Sawyer wants to know why. Kate says, "Jack is on his way to blow up a hydrogen bomb. We have to stop him." Sawyer and Juliet look at each other, and Sawyer says, "Sorry, but I'll pass." A shocked Kate asks, "Did you hear what I just said?" And an annoyed Sawyer replies, "Yeah, I heard you. You just don't get it, Kate. We were happy in Dharmaville till y'all showed up, but now that's all over. So we're going to drink our OJ and take our chances in the real world. Jack wants to blow up the island. Good for Jack."
Whoa.
I was with Sawyer on this. I mean, all of a sudden Kate shows up in the fucking submarine and she's like, "We have to go on another side quest." And they're like, "Fuck you."
Not to mention over the next couple episodes how many times people flip-flop to "I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that." It's just like, Christ, just drink the OJ and go to bed.
May as well be politicians.
So still in 1977, but now on the island, Jack is circling the bomb, Jughead. Saeed is nearby reading Daniel's journal. Richard, a short distance away, paces impatiently. Jack wonders if Daniel's journal contains anything about moving a 10-ton bomb. Saeed says, actually, it's 20 tons.
I mean, really, does it matter at this point?
Not
whether
really,
it's 10
probably.
tons or 20 tons.
Or
you
1
can't
ton.
fucking move it.
Yeah, you're not going to move it.
Fortunately, it seems Faraday never intended to freight the device in its entirety. He left detailed instructions on how to remove the plutonium core and how to detonate it.
I love this. He has detailed instructions in his journal, but he still didn't show up until like 5 minutes before all of this was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And apparently Saeed is able to read all of this, crazy physics shit and,
Yes,
Disassemble a bomb.
I actually have written further down on this page when Saeed has one of his lines. Oh, now he's an expert on nukes, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack wants to know if only part of the bomb will be enough to wipe out the pocket of energy Faraday told him about. Saeed says the thermonuclear core will be more than enough. He hands Jack the journal, walks to a nearby metal box, and begins dragging it across the ground. Richard says, hey, wait. We sealed that thing up 20 years ago, and we put it underground because it was emitting radiation. So I imagine that room is pretty irradiated by now.
But this is the whole reason why y'all came down here, Richard.
Yeah, Dick.
The room doesn't get irradiated. It doesn't work like that. It's not like the radiation doesn't just build up.
That's true.
It just goes. If it were actually like...
but it would be in the ground, right?
No, if it were like if it were actual radioactive material that were coming out of it, that's one thing. But this is just like radiation, so it's like light. Once it goes through, it's not coming back.
Right, that's true.
It's just an energy wave or energy particle wave, basically.
Okay,
I did not know that. Apparently, Ben is an expert on nuclear.
Yeah, I got a couple beefs with this thing. They are right that the core of a H bomb is a thermonuclear weapon.
It's just a fission device.
It's a fission device. So the difference between
I knew that much.
Yeah, you use a fission device to create fusion. It's a big enough explosion from fission, and that's what the hydrogen bomb is. So it's basically like the bombs we dropped in Japan. Those were fission devices. This is like another layer wrapped over a fission device to make it extremely powerful.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Does this sound like a good idea to you, Eloise? Eloise admits she is pregnant with Daniel and says that's precisely why they need to see this through. She wants to know what happens once the core is removed. Saeed says, then we have approximately 2 hours to take it to the Swan site. When Faraday returned to the island, he was very explicit about this timetable. Jack replies, well then, we better get moving. Thanks, Jack. At the Swan site, the Dharma bus pulls up and Radzinski storms out screaming, who stopped the damn drill? He turns the corner to find Dr. Chang saying, I did. Radzinski wants to know why, and Chang tells him the drill bit temperature went up 60 degrees after they passed 70 meters. He didn't want it to melt. And insists Radzinski says, Pierre, that's why we have a truck full of water. So cool it down and turn it on.
Okay.
Chang replies, Stuart, we just evacuated the island of all non-essential personnel. We're in the midst of a possible insurrection. Do you really think this is the ideal time for your experiments? Radzinski is furious because he's been working on this project for 6 years, and when it's complete, they'll be able to manipulate electromagnetism in ways they've only dreamed of. Whatever that means.
Yeah.
I don't know. How many electromagnetic dreams have you had, Derek?
None.
He'll finally be able to build an electric razor that can do something about his neck beard.
Yeah. Maybe some friction in my dreams, but...
Uh-oh.
Chang wants to know if Radzinski has bothered to think about the consequences of drilling into that pocket. And Radzinski says, if Edison was only worried about the consequences, we'd still be sitting in the dark. I came to this island to change the world, Pierre. That's exactly what I intend to do. As he storms off, Radzinski yells to the workers, let's get it started. The machine whirs to life and the drilling begins again.
Edison was a fuckface.
Actually, got it wrong. Edison was a fucking asshole.
He
stole
was.
Stuff from Nikola Tesla.
Indeed. That
and
is
he was
true.
Completely without scruples. Like he was sort of, I'm pretty sure he was a sociopath.
He didn't just steal from Tesla. He stole from everyone.
He stole from everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was one of those people. He's one of those people that when they say the key to success is persistence, that's Edison. That's all he was. He was extremely persistent and ruthless, and that's how he got.
Goons.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. He reminds me of Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just going around putting their name on other...
Ironically owns Tesla.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Really ironic.
Yeah, he bought the company from someone else who actually invented.
He's bought every company. So, he's never created anything. No. He worked on the team that created PayPal, which he wanted to call X, by the way, because he's a fucking weirdo.
What is his fucking obsession with X?
Who knows? Because he's a fucking weirdo. I hate that he's neurodivergent. I hate that he's part of our community because he just makes autistic people look like fucking assholes when really he's just a sociopathic jackass who likes to see his name everywhere, much like Trump. But reminds me of Edison in that way, where he just comes along with his money, puts his name on something, and is like, "Oh, I'm a great inventor." Yeah, okay.
Well, I think it's super funny that every time anybody mentions, this tweet on the platform X, which is formerly known as Twitter. So,
it's not sticking.
X,
yeah. Stupid. No,
because what do you call a tweet? You call it, let's watch this X. Can we read this X? I mean,
post, he says. It's so stupid. Like, the tweet had made it into the dictionary. Like, people only dream of that kind of branding. And he fucking destroyed it. One of my favorite memes that goes around, it has been around for a while. It's the meme with Drake, who he's like looking away, and then he's like, in the next box. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, so
I
it says
Drake.
Well, okay, but the meme at the top, when he's turning away, it says dead naming a trans person, and then when he's turning to it, it says dead naming Twitter. And I'm like, I will not call it X. Nope. Anyways,
I don't. I still call it Twitter because X just sounds stupid.
It does sound stupid.
And Twitter is a wasteland now.
He said Elon Musk was not a great inventor, and I agree. He's not a great inventor. To date, he had been a really, really shrewd investor. That was until he bought Twitter. And
tainted himself.
And proven to be a really, really bad move.
Yeah, that's because he actually tried to run Twitter, and so he destroyed it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyways, 30 years later.
In 2007, on the island, Locke, Ben, Sun, and the others are trekking across the rocky beach. Locke stops, takes off his backpack, and pulls out a canteen. He holds the canteen in the air and says, "Take 5, everybody. We still got a ways to go to get to Jacob." Sun looks at Ben and asks who Jacob is. Ben tells her Jacob is in charge of the island. Sun points out that Ben said Locke was in charge. Ben says, "No, I said he was the leader, a title that I discovered is incredibly temporary." But everyone answers to someone, and the leader answers to Jacob. Yeah, but who does Jacob answer to, huh?
Ooh.
When Sun asks what Jacob is like, Ben is forced to say, "I don't know, Sun. I never met him." A little bitter.
He's throughout this episode and the next one, he is so Eeyore.
Yep.
Yeah, he is.
Wah, wah.
Yeah. I love to see it. I mean, I love the evil Ben, but I love to see the way he's been kind of castrated almost in a way. And how he reacts to it, especially at the very end of the next episode. We'll get into that, but his reaction to everything in this finale, I think, is beautiful, and it just shows how Michael Emerson is so incredible.
It's a good demonstration of how power is an illusion. It's really just it's an implicit agreement in most ways, and if somebody challenges that, then power structures can change.
Absolutely. That's why our entire country is falling apart, because the orange menace is destroying our institutions and the rule of law. And once that collapses, not good.
You're so fucked.
Yeah. Not good.
Ben walks away, and now Richard can be seen standing nearby Locke, staring at him. Locke mentions that Richard has been staring at him for the past 10 minutes and wonders if there's something he'd like to ask.
I think it's probably about his nipples. Did anybody notice the Locke nipples in this scene?
Oh, yeah, they were in full force.
Oh, my God.
I did not.
chilly walk up the beach.
Yeah.
Something, or like he's real excited to get to Jacob because his
That's what it is.
nips.
Well, he's in charge. I mean, he's rock hard right now.
You just see you just see Richard go, "What's up with the moobs?"
Anyway.
So Alfred says, Ben told me that he strangled you. Locke replies, that is my recollection, yes.
I don't know why
Richard
that makes me laugh so much.
It is funny. It's like, yeah, he strangled me. Mhm. Richard doesn't understand how it's possible that Locke is alive. Locke says, well, you've been on this island much longer than I have, Richard. If anyone should have an explanation, I think it would be you. Albert replies, I have been here a long time, John, and I've seen things on the island that I could barely describe, but I've never seen someone come back to life.
Hmm.
There's that trail of breadcrumbs.
Yep. Locke points out that he's never seen anyone who doesn't age, but obviously that doesn't mean it can't happen.
Touche.
Yeah. Albert tells him, I'm this way because of Jacob. Oh, you are?
Or Jacob's line of skincare products.
Yeah. And if I had to guess, he's the reason you're not in that coffin anymore. Locke says, I agree completely, Richard. That's why I'm doing this, so I can thank him. Once I've done that, we're going to need to deal with the rest of the passengers from the Ajura flight that brought me here. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Richard wants clarification on the phrase, deal with them, and Locke says, you know what I mean.
What?
Albert's face turns to shock as Locke turns to the group and says, let's go. He walks away, leaving the stunned Richard behind.
I mean, this is clearly nothing like the Locke that we've known before.
No.
Because the Locke that we've known before, when he was told that he had to murder his father, he couldn't fucking do it.
Yeah.
Now he just wants to take out these.
Well, yeah, he couldn't do it, but like he wouldn't mind if somebody else did it. And so I feel like that's kind of what's happening here too. Like as the story goes on, he sort of is like, well, I'm not going to kill. And so I could see where they're trying to kind of thread that needle.
Right, because he did send Sawyer, and now he is apparently sending Ben. Yeah. So you're right, Ben. That's a good.
When he sent Sawyer to do it, Sawyer had reason to do it of his own.
Yeah.
Well, but do you not remember the speech? I mean, we'll talk about it because it's in the next episode. But the speech that Locke gives Ben right before.
Yep.
The shit goes down. I mean, he does give him like a list of reasons why he should want to kill him. In fact, he might even say it in this episode. I don't remember, but he does give him like a list of reasons.
Yeah,
I think you're
when
right,
he
Ben.
says, well, why wouldn't you want to kill him?
Right.
Yeah.
I think there is some deflection here. There are also some breadcrumbs. And what I will do is drop this little nugget. In our season 5 video post show, which you will get next Wednesday. Oh, by the way, happy birthday, Ben, when this comes out.
Oh, thanks.
So what we're going to do in that post show is we are going to have a quick chat about season 5, episode 12, Dead is Dead, because there is some controversy in that episode. And I had to keep my mouth shut when we were recording it because many Lost fans criticized that episode for being too obvious about the fact that Locke is actually the man in black. And Ben brought up, he started to see that in that episode, and I couldn't discuss it at the time because I didn't want to ruin it for Derek or Christy, who wasn't remembering. And Derek, you were still convinced it was Locke at that point. So I couldn't say anything because I was concerned that Ben was maybe actually like remembering. Part of his brain was remembering the truth, even though he didn't remember watching it. But we will discuss that next week on the post show about whether or not that episode was too obvious and sort of when these breadcrumbs started to be dropped, because there were some fans and still in hindsight who say that episode was too obvious and it ruined it for me. So put a pin in that. We'll talk about it next week.
There's those pins again.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Every single time you say that, I just think about the episode of Saturday Night Live that Pedro Pascal was in.
Oh, God, that episode was good. But which sketch are you talking about? When did he say put a pin in it?
When he's in the hospital with...
Oh, yeah! Okay, yes. Yeah, that was a great sketch. He was amazing on Saturday Night Live.
He's fantastic, in everything.
Yeah, I think of late, like of in the last couple of years, the best hosts have been he and Timothée Chalamet is the appropriate way to pronounce his name. Who, like, my inner teenager has such a crush on him, but the real, like, 45-year-old me feels slightly disgusted by that. But if you've never seen his episodes on Saturday Night Live, they are absolutely fucking amazing. I think he's hosted twice, but anyways.
So out at sea, Ilana, Bram, and the 3 other people are rowing an outrigger from Hydra Island to the island. Inside the outrigger are the Ajira crate and an unconscious Lapidus. They dock on the beach and all get out except for Frank because, he's unconscious. Bram wants to know why they brought the Yahoo, and Ilana says they might need him.
That's
Bram
actually funny because hasn't that been Lapidus's line up until now? How many times has he called people Yahoos? At least twice. Yeah. Maybe 3 times. Yeah.
Bram points out that Lapidus didn't know the answer to the question, and Ilana says that doesn't mean he isn't important.
Ilana calls out that Bram is a terrible actor as well.
Yes.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
This guy's terrible.
I thought I recognized him from something else, but I can't place it. Did you guys know
he
of
was,
anything
he was
that
the
he's
dude in
in?
the van that pulled Miles
I
out
mean,
of the van earlier. But
I know. What I mean is something other than Lost. Maybe I'll look it up.
Yeah, I've actually looked it up, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
His name is Brad William Hinkey.
Hinkey?
Well,
he's dead.
He may be a delightful actor or have been a delightful actor, but his role
he died in
this
2022.
Oh.
He was a corrections officer in Orange is the New Black.
Oh, that's why I know him.
Oh, that's where it was from. Okay. Gosh.
And he played in the NFL and the Arena Football League.
I mean, he's definitely a big dude.
Yeah.
But
How did he die?
Maybe it might just be the lines that were written for him or something, but the way he delivered them, they were really bad.
Well, he posted, he had a 90% blockage of an artery. He had 2 stents put in his heart, and his pancreas and half his spleen were removed to treat a golf ball-sized tumor, and he died in his sleep at the age of 56 in 2022.
Whoa. Well, that's sad, except for the sleep part. I mean,
I feel bad for saying he's a bad actor now.
I know. Jesus Christ, Ben. Look at the way you speak of the dead.
He was also in the newer
he was in a lot of
Stand.
shows.
I didn't watch the remake of The
Tom.
Stand.
Tom Cullen. Moon. That spells Tom Cullen.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, he was actually in a lot of TV shows.
Well, we'll have to watch something else and see if maybe Ben likes him better. I don't know.
Okay, so Bram asks, what, you think he's a candidate? And Lapidus is awake now, but pretending not to be. Ilana notices this, so he relents and opens his eyes. Bram wants to know how long he's been listening, and Lapidus says, long enough to wonder what the hell I'm a candidate for. Who the hell are you people?
What's he a candidate for, Derek?
I know. What is he a candidate for?
Well,
and who are these people?
Well, I will tell you, you're going to find out all about the candidate. Season 6, episode 14, titled The Candidate.
Yes. What a shocker.
Well named.
Yeah. So Ilana tells him they're friends. So Lapidus says, so you smack all your friends in the face with a rifle, shove them in a boat, and kidnap them?
Yeah.
Ilana replies, only the ones we like.
Oh, Ilana's a little freaky deaky.
I like that.
She can smack me around a little bit. Bram offers Lapidus water and then tells the other passengers to pick up the crate and go. And Lapidus goes, What's in the box?
Gwyneth Paltrow's head rolls out.
Yep.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Hey, guys.
That was
buy my
an amazing movie.
You want to buy a candle? Yeah, exactly.
Ilana looks to Bram, who tells her it's her call. She says, open it. Lapidus peers inside, and a look of shocked horror comes across his face. He says, terrific.
What did you think it was?
How he delivers these lines.
He's brilliant. He's so good. I think his power comes from the fact that he doesn't button his shirt.
This episode, I started to get suspicious about Locke.
Okay, yeah. So when they dumped out the box, or when they opened the box
Open the
just now,
box.
Open the
what's in the box? You were already wondering?
I was starting to think it might be him.
Okay, because he casually mentioned killing every one of the other plane survivors.
Why would he want to kill these people that he really didn't even know?
Okay.
Or Locke didn't know.
All right, so you were suspecting it might be Locke in a box again, by the way.
Yes.
We had 2 seasons with Locke in a box. But so what did you think? Did you have any idea who then was walking around the island?
No.
Okay. All right. So you didn't suspect
I
the
didn't
man
know
in
who
black
he
right
really
away.
was until, yeah.
All right.
So, flashback number 3, 1976 off the island. Church bells toll at the funeral of Miss and Mr. Ford. An 8-year-old James quietly looks on as their coffins are loaded into hearses to be taken to the cemetery.
Also good casting. Not quite as spot on as Kate as a child, but I could buy this as Sawyer as a child.
Yeah, it just needs a little more oil on his body. Other than that,
You didn't think so, Christy?
No, but I mean, I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever.
whatever. Yeah, I
All
was the
right, fine.
same
He's
way.
blonde. That's fine.
Outside on the church steps, James begins his letter to Anthony Cooper, known to him as Tom Sawyer. A voice from off screen says, "Need a pen, son?" James looks up as Jacob approaches in a suit.
Whoa.
Jacob reaches into his coat pocket and pulls out a pen. He tells James that he can keep the pen, and Jacob's hand brushes the child's fingers as he hands it to him. He likes to touch the people.
Yeah, you noticed that. Kate got a boop on the nose,
Yep.
and Sawyer got
brushes
a
James' hand.
stroke of the
brushes his
finger.
fingers.
Mhm.
So he touches children, is what we're saying.
Yes.
Oh no.
This whole 6 episodes is just a giant grooming fantasy.
Oh no, it is Epstein's Island. Why do we keep coming back to that?
Just waiting for him to pop up.
Because nothing is sacred anymore.
No. All right.
The young, not yet Sawyer looks down with melancholy on his face, and Jacob says, "I'm very sorry about your mother and father, James." The boy looks up, and Jacob looks at him sadly for a moment, then walks away. James continues writing his note as his uncle Doug approaches. He tells the boy they need to go to the cemetery, notices the note, and asks him about it.
Did anybody else notice that Uncle Doug looks like a fatter Jacob? Like they looked like they could be brothers or something
I could
like
see
that. Did you
Yeah.
notice that? I did.
I did not.
All
I
right.
didn't.
Well, maybe I should Google whether or not it's actually his brother.
There you go.
Keep going.
James tries to tell him it's nothing, but his uncle grabs a paper and reads it aloud. When he realizes what the letter's about, Doug sits beside young Sawyer. He says, "Listen to me, Jimmy. I know you're angry at the man that did this to your mama and daddy. And hell, you got every right to be. But you got to move on, boy. They're gone, and there ain't nothing you can do to change that. What's done is done. Now promise me you're not going to finish that letter." The boy lies and promises he won't. His uncle says, "Good, come on, let's say goodbye."
And in both of these situations, they lie. The kids both lie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wait, what
It
do you mean?
was a little early for him to say to move on. I mean, they hadn't even
Yeah.
hit
Kind
the
of.
ground yet.
Yeah, I
Right,
know.
yeah. Wait, what do you mean, Ben? What were the lies? I'm not grasping that for
Kate
some
saying
reason.
she wasn't going to steal.
Yeah, Kate saying she
Oh,
wasn't going
and-
to steal,
okay.
and yeah. So basically, Jacob touches a child, and then they start to lie. So,
Oh my
the grooming
God.
thing, you know, just
I'm sorry. I thought
He
you
didn't
meant
touch me in that bad place.
Jesus Christ. I thought you meant Jacob was lying. That's why I was confused.
No.
Yeah, the kids.
No.
Okay, sure.
So in 1977, off the coast of the island, we're back in the submarine, and it appears that Kate has explained more to Sawyer and Juliet. Sawyer says, "Let me get this straight. Jack sets off the nuke, which somehow resets everything. So Flight 815 never crashes, lands in LA, safe and sound, and none of this ever happened." Kate points out that if Jack does this, it could kill everyone on that island. And Sawyer says, "You ain't hearing me, Kate. I made a choice, and I'm sticking to it. I decided to leave, and I'm leaving." Mitch arrives with sedatives for the 3 of them, and as soon as he's close enough, Juliet attacks and knocks Mitch unconscious.
atta girl.
Yep.
Hot.
Juliet's a badass, man.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
totally.
She learned some moves while on the island.
Yeah.
Sawyer says, "What the hell did you just do?" As she takes the keys from Mitch and unlocks the cuffs on Kate and herself, Juliet says, "We decided to leave this island, James. We did, and now we're going back." Oh, boy.
Here's the first of many flip-flops.
Yeah.
Yep, and after he had said good riddance.
Mm-hmm.
Sawyer can't believe she's serious because she doesn't have a cocked gun. But Julia tells him they can't let these people die. She asks, "You want out, or do you want to stay here and whine about it?" Sawyer replies, "Unlock the damn cuffs." The captain speaks to the base and says all systems have been checked and they're ready to leave. When he hangs up, the sound of the gun being cocked by someone very serious can be heard. He turns to see Sawyer, Julia, and Kate. Julia demands that he hand over his gun, and Sawyer just takes it from him. Sawyer tells him to surface the sub, and when the captain tries to protest, Julia presses the gun against his face. She says, "Once we're gone, proceed on course. Whatever you do, do not take those people back to the island. Understand?" The captain wants to know what to do if Horace contacts him, so Hoyer shoots the communication system and says, "You ain't home." And the captain begins to surface the submarine.
All right, I'm just going to say, don't fire a fucking gun on a submarine.
Oh, shit.
Jesus.
Right.
You might as well be in the Apollo aircraft and just be, like, come on, man.
Well, and when I was watching this, I had to Google the captain because in this scene, he looks so much like Bishop from the Aliens movie.
Lance Henriksen.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, to me,
Lance Henriksen? No.
yeah, to me, he looked so much like Bishop that I was like, I wonder if it's the same guy. And then, no, it's not. But
Oh, well, I did look up Uncle Doug. I can't find if he's Jacob's brother in real life, but he was on Better Call Saul. I'm surprised you didn't recognize him, Ben, because you love that show. He played Officer Platt. And it looks like this guy has been on
small role.
Roughly 50 different television shows as a guest star. He's got one of those.
Yeah, it seems these actors are doing that.
Yeah, he's got one of those, like, my dream life of, like, an actor that doesn't have to deal with, like, Uber fame, but is constantly working. That would be so fucking cool. Anyways.
Meanwhile, on the island in 1977, Jack and Saeed are preparing to open Jughead. Jack wants to know if Saeed is finished with Faraday's journal, and Saeed says, "Take it." Saeed goes to work on removing the core from the warhead, and Richard looks at Jack and says, "Over 20 years ago, a man named John Locke, he walked right into our camp, and he told me that he was going to be our leader. Now, I've gone off the island 3 times to visit him, but he never seemed particularly special to me. You know him? Locke?" Jack laughs a little and says, yeah, I know him, and if I were you, I wouldn't give up on him."
What?
Oops. Jack is turned into Locke.
I know, it's crazy. And the other thing about this scene that's really interesting is, like, we know that Locke himself was the one that sent Richard to fetch him for the island, and Richard this entire time has been like, there's nothing special here. Yeah. And so that's kind of fascinating, knowing now that Locke, he never did accomplish anything. He fucking died, and his body is being used. And so Richard kind of saw the truth the whole time, except for right now in this moment when it's so imperative to understand that it's the Man in Black, and he doesn't see it. And here is Jack encouraging him, like, yeah, give him a chance. Oof.
It shows that even on the island, sometimes you end up with a manager that you're just like, what? Why is this person in a position of authority?
I think he should be in a box factory.
Yeah. So in 2007 on the island, Locke's group continues trekking. Ben and Locke are walking side by side. Locke points at Richard and asks Ben why he hadn't told him yet. Ben asks, "Told who what?" Locke replies, "Richard, why haven't you told him about my plans for Jacob?" Ben says that if by plans he means murder, he figured Locke wanted that kept a secret. Locke wonders when that has ever stopped Ben from saying something. True. Ben says, "Well, I started thinking differently about things when my dead daughter threatened to destroy me if I didn't do everything you said." Locke stops walking and asks where that happened. Ben tells him it was in the cavern beneath the temple when they went to see the smoke monster. Locke inquires, "So you're willing to do whatever I say, no matter what it is?" Oh, boy. Ben confirms that he will, and Locke gets a Locke grin and boner. He's pleased he won't have to try to convince Ben, and when Ben asks, "Convince me to do what?" a still grinning Locke says, "I'm not going to kill Jacob, Ben. you are.
What?
And a shocked Ben stands frozen, staring at Locke. Yep.
And he breathes a sigh of relief, and he's like, thank God, I thought you were going to ask me to give you a hand job.
Oh, my God.
Take care of that fucking thing down there.
I know, your nipple and your nips and your boner. It's too much, man. So this is quite fascinating. Do you think the man in black, do you think that was his plan the whole time? Or do you think when he found out that Ben was now like blindly following him per Ghost Alex, that he was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll have you do it?
I think he was Ghost Alex.
Is that the loophole?
Is that the loophole?
That
he can't do it himself?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. And Ben, you think it's like a Trinity thing, that the man in black and the smoke monster and
Alex are all the same
are
thing.
all the same thing?
entity. Yes.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I was going to wait and bring that up much later, but yeah, 100%.
Interesting. Well, I will tell you that question will be answered in season 6, episode 1.
Yeah. Either it's coincidence or it's orchestration of a single entity pushing everything to this end, which, given the writing, that seems more probable.
I see. Okay. So both of those things could be true. You guys could be right about like the Trinity, and also that is part of the loophole. I think that's good thinking too, Derek.
I don't even think of it as a Trinity. I just think of this, that the smoke monster is something that can take the form of something else.
Which is why I think that his plan the whole time was to have Ben kill Jacob, because he already knew that Smoke Monster Alex told Ben to do whatever Locke said.
Because he's one and the same.
Because he knew that he was also Locke.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Great. Thanks, guys.
All right. Flashback number 4. We're in 2005 off the island. Saeed and Nadia walk down a busy Los Angeles street. Saeed says, Paris, Rome, Florence. Nadia giggles and says, it doesn't matter as long as we're together.
She looks stunning in this scene, by the way.
Does.
She looks really great.
Gorgeous, like purple flowery dress. Yes, that's the thing, right? Like, she just looks stunning so that we can watch her body get snapped in half. What a brutal fucking scene this is.
Saeed points out that this is for their anniversary and needs to be the perfect place. They stop at a street corner where Jacob is also standing.
Oh.
The light turns and the two begin crossing the street. As Nadia is digging in her purse for her sunglasses, Jacob runs up behind them. He says, excuse me, sir, could you help me? I'm sorry, I think I'm lost. Are you from Los Angeles? Saeed turns to ask Jacob what he's looking for. Just as Nadia turns to tell Saeed she found her sunglasses, she yells, I found them, and then gets pummeled by a car. Yeah, it says Nadia's thrown several feet. It's a lot farther than several feet.
Yeah.
At least 5 kilometers inland.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, do you ever see the movie Meet Joe Black with Brad Pitt in it? It's the same kind of thing where, like, it's just shockingly hit by a car. Well, I guess we've had that in this show, too. Hit by a bus. Juliet's ex-husband.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That was a funny scene.
Part of the reason why Brad Pitt getting hit by the car in Meet Joe Black was so shocking was because it was also the beginning of the movie and it stars Brad Pitt.
Right.
So you're like, is this...
Yeah, you never expect the lead actor to get taken out that early.
Right, right. That's true. Yeah. And we already knew Nadia was hit by a car in Los Angeles. It's pretty obvious what was going to happen here, but I still thought, like, the way her body bent when it was just like, oh, God. The other thing about this scene, did you notice, like, does Jacob seem a little more active in changing what's happening here? Because, like, you know, he boops Kate, he gives Sawyer a pen, but in this scene, it's kind of looks like he's distracting Sawyer. Saeed. Like,
he is.
It's almost like he's doing this to Saeed.
Yes, he's intervening in their fates.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. All right.
Because where's it going to lead them to go?
Exactly. Right.
But at the same time, I mean, who starts digging through their purse in the middle of a crosswalk, stands there, and
it turns around?
I mean,
people that typically don't live that long.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, it should have been a walk
Or
sign.
don't live in L.A.
It should
Yeah.
be safe to turn around when you still have a walk sign. Obviously, somebody like ran a red light.
Pay
but-
attention because I don't
Yes.
trust these fucking people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
people
one
are
thing I will never
terrible.
do. I will
Cell
never.
phones,
I will never walk across an intersection with headphones on. Like, fuck that. Like, I'm
Right.
going
Oh,
to
I do
hear.
that all the time.
If I'm going to get killed that way, it's going to be an electric car that I didn't hear because, yeah,
Or one of those driverless cars.
yeah,
Well,
exactly.
That, maybe.
I only ever have one headphone in if I'm out and about in the world.
I always have two in unless it's at night and I'm by myself because I'm a woman and I'm far more afraid of men than I am of cars, honestly.
Well, even in the early
What about
morning, if
men
I'm
driving cars?
Well, I guess that's a good point.
just walking around Main Street where I live in the morning, I'll still only have one in because I need to be able to hear
Yeah.
everything that's going on around, and I'm constantly looking at shadows. If
Absolutely.
I pass somebody, or I'm watching the reflections in storefronts, and I try to be very, very aware.
Yeah, I
I'm the
watch
same
Jesus
way.
Christ.
I'm actually the same way. I'm very vigilant. I'm always looking around me.
the reflection in the store window. I use that too, just to make sure there's no creep following me. Yeah, Derek, I heard you a little bit of surprise there. This is what every woman does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
And me, I guess.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Well-
Well, I did it for a very long time, considering I was
Yeah,
jumped
yeah.
from behind.
Yeah.
So I couldn't let anyone behind me. I stood against walls and corners. Yeah, for a long
For,
time.
for those
Yeah.
of you who have somehow made it to the end of season 5 and never gone to listen to Derek's episode of Zero Shame Stories about the time that he was nearly murdered in a murder for hire situation. It's fucking crazy. So yes, though, Derek, most women have to behave as though they have PTSD from almost being murdered because we are afraid of being attacked by
God, that's so fucked up.
men. Yeah, it is fucked up. Thank you for being a man that recognizes that. Anyways,
So the car speeds away too. I mean, it's a nice hit and run.
that's true.
And just before Saeed rushes to her, screaming her name, Jacob touches his shoulder. Saeed reaches Nadia, and in Arabic, she whispers, "Take me home, take me home." And then she
Country
dies.
road. Sorry.
Had a feeling
Speaking of
someone was going to say
dying,
that.
He was a great pilot.
Uh-huh.
A shocked and weeping Saeed clutches her hand and kisses her cheek.
This is a pretty fucked up scene, though.
Poor Saeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in 1977, back on the island, Saeed finishes wrapping the warhead and puts it in a backpack. He says, "Time is short. Let's go." The three men and Ellie walk down a hallway until they come upon a wall.
All
Albert
four
knock-
at the same time?
Yep.
Wow.
It's a difficult thing to achieve.
Seriously. These guys, their cycles must be in line. What the fuck? I was going to say, like, the size of the core they pull out, something tells me that if this is a hydrogen bomb from the 1950s, the core of that thing is not going to be something you just put in a fucking backpack.
Well, I
Yeah.
believe critical mass is around 70 to 80 pounds of it.
Exactly right. And that would just be the uranium or plutonium itself, not the
Exactly.
device around it. So this thing the core of that thing, I'm guessing, would still be north of a ton
Because
easily.
how the bombs in Japan worked, it was something that's explosive that took a part of the core to make the critical mass, combine them. It just basically blew it into the...
One was a gun
later-
type that fired a wedge. The other one was an explosive type that caused an implosion.
Okay, so later when Jack is holding it like it weighs like a loaf of bread over the hole,
Correct.
it just sort of like flips it in with his fingers. That's probably not right.
I mean, I could imagine that for like a small tactical nuclear weapon, they might have cores that are much smaller these days, but they were far less efficient with the use of the fissile materials back then.
Wow,
so
the little
the
boy
devices
bomb
would have
weight-
to be big.
Okay.
Yeah, little boy weighed 9,000 pounds.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So yeah, him holding it like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna throw it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right.
It was like a very futuristic fission device.
All right, so after they came on the wall, Albert knocks on it and a hollow sound can be heard. He bashes the wall with a hammer until there's a passageway into the basement of a barracks home.
Glory hole. Sorry, we're talking about coming on walls, so.
Yes, yeah. Jack notices a Dharma house and announces he'll go first. Ellie says, Jack, don't misunderstand who's in charge here. I'll go first. Because if someone's in that house is a threat, you might hesitate. And then she cocks her gun so Jack knows she's serious and adds, but I won't. Richard agrees that they'll follow Ellie and then knocks her unconscious with the butt of his pistol.
God damn, another casual head injury.
Yep.
Right.
He points his gun at Jack and Saeed and says, I'm protecting our leader. Get back. She's going to be angry when she gets up, but that's a lot better than being dead.
So Ellie is the leader? Not Charles.
At this point, yeah.
It's interesting.
She ordered me to help you. We helped you. Now you're on your own. I'm taking her out the way we came in. Saeed looks to Jack and says, after you. Jack climbs through the hole, followed by Saeed. Exiting the basement, they proceed to the living room of the house. Outside, an alarm is sounding, and people are running around. A voice over a loudspeaker says, we are in code black. Report with your weapons to your security assignment immediately. If you come into contact with the hostile, you're authorized to use deadly force.
Ruh-roh.
Saeed notices a Dharma jumpsuit, grabs it, and says, we hide in plain sight. I think Jack actually asked here, like, how are we going to get out of here?
How the fuck are we going to get out of here? Yeah.
Outside, Jack and Saeed calmly walk across the grounds. Phil is with a group of people giving them instructions. Roger notices Saeed and screams, hey, hey! He cocks his gun so we know he's serious and yells, you're the son of a bitch who shot my kid. And all of a sudden I care about my kid.
Right. Fuck you, Roger.
Yeah. Saeed urgently says, don't fire the weapon. I'm carrying a nuclear... But before he can finish, Roger fires his gun and hits Saeed in the stomach.
What?
Saeed falls to the ground, and Jack returns fire into the crowd. As Jin, Miles, and Hurley pull up in a Dharma van, the men take cover behind a house. Jin says, get in. They do, and Jack shouts, drive. As Jin speeds away, a shot shatters the rear windshield.
Whoa. I like how Jack just starts firing into, like, the
Just
Dharma
random,
barracks,
yeah.
like, randomly.
Oh, yeah, man. He's like running around, just firing on the move, hits and like multiple people. All these people are like behind cover with rifles and nobody hits him. These are stormtroopers, man.
Absolutely.
Fuck, these guys are terrible shots.
Well, and for anybody who's ever shot a handgun, shooting it with just one hand is incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And shooting it on the move, totally with your hand out. Like, you're not going to hit a fucking thing. Like, if you do hit anything, it is pure luck.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, the point of that could just be if I'm spraying bullets, everyone has to hide so I can run. There's that too.
So you're providing cover fire.
Yes,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
why
but
they
cover
shouldn't
for
show him
yourself.
hitting people. The fact that they show him hitting people is what makes it ridiculous. If he's pop, people keeping their heads down, cool, that's cover fire. That's how you do these things. But yeah.
Should we write a letter?
He's just spraying bullets everywhere.
Yeah. Do you want to send a letter, Ben?
I just want a little more accuracy with her gunplay. We'll touch on this in the next episode as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Back out at sea, the submarine is leaving. Sawyer, Kate, and Juliet are on a life raft paddling the shore. Sawyer and Kate argue over the orientation of the island. They dock, and Kate thanks Juliet for backing her up on the submarine. Dock.
Did anybody notice that Sawyer pronounces the word compass as compass? I don't know why that annoyed the shit out of me.
Yeah.
No, I did not notice.
Did not notice.
Did not notice that either.
Compass.
Sawyer suddenly screams, I got no idea where the hell we are. Then a barking can be heard from the jungle as Vincent pops onto the beach.
Hey, Vincent!
Sawyer says,
buddy.
Vincent. Sawyer says, Vincent, come here. How you doing, boy? Haven't seen you since the Flaming Arrows 3 years ago. And the ghost of Frogurt could be heard screaming.
Shut up, Frogurt.
Yeah. Juliet asks Vincent how he managed to stay alive out here alone, and then a familiar voice could be heard saying, oh, hell no.
Oh my God, it's so fucking great.
They turn to see Rose standing there. She says, Bernard, they found us. Bernard runs out of the jungle, bearded and carrying a staff. He says, son of a bitch.
Damn, Sawyer's line. I fucking love it.
And Rose goes, you're not the son of a bitch. Come on.
Rose says, I'm glad you guys are here because he's no Tarzan.
He's a dentist.
He's a dentist.
I would have loved if he just ran out of the jungle with his walking staff and just was like, "You shall not."
He was working on the beard and the hair.
Yeah.
I think he looked great.
Yeah. Except for he's a little chunky and his moops were not enjoying the run.
Oh, why am I'm noticing Locke's titties, but I didn't notice Bernard's. I have to go back.
So across the island, the Dharma van is racing along a trail. Miles notices the bomb as Jack is trying to stop Saeed's bleeding. Hurley wants to know what's happening in the back, but Miles and Jack tell him to be quiet and drive to the Swan station. Jen asks, Jack, what's at the Swan? Jack replies, I think I found a way to get you back to your wife.
Whoa.
He actually said, Jack, what's at the Swan?
What's at the Swan? Sawyer, Kate, Juliet, Rose, and Bernard walk through the jungle while Vincent runs off ahead. Sawyer is shocked that they've been living out in the jungle all this time and apologizes for leaving them behind.
Oh, you know what? I just thought of something. This is so random. But I was watching Reels the other day or something, and I saw one where reporter was asking celebrities, what's the most often line that your fans quote back to you? And Brad Pitt says everywhere he goes, somebody goes, what's in the box? Could you?
Of course.
Of
Can
course.
you imagine? That's his life. He's going to hear that line for the rest of his life shouted at him. Anyway,
I'm almost certain that we have said that before on this podcast.
Oh, probably.
I think, we have.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not just that, but that you pointed out that Brad Pitt gets that.
I'm sure that I've said the same thing and told the same story on this podcast 1,000 times because that's what ADHD does.
And it's called Lost in Her 40s. If it was Lost in Her 20s, then you might not be repeating yourself. But Lost in Her 40s, people, this is what happens. In order for shit to remain interesting, you have to forget things.
Jesus, what's going to be with Lost in our 60s?
It's going to be the same episode over and over.
Yeah. We'll have the same conversation every week and poop our pants from time to time.
So you're leaving to go poop, you can just shit right there in your diaper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As someone in my late 40s, yesterday I decided to embrace the fact that I can't read anything without reading glasses.
I need them too.
And I bought many, many, many pairs of reading glasses so that I can have them strategically all around the house.
Yeah, I need them too. I tried on, was it yours?
I'm fighting it. I'm still fighting it.
I tried on yours or Lauren's or somebody's reading glasses when we were in Dominican Republic, and I was like, oh, yeah, I need that.
I bought my first set of progressive lenses the other day, so yeah. That's happening.
Old. Yeah,
we old.
All right.
So
anyway.
he asked if they heard him shout about meeting at the creek, and Bernard says, "You mean with flaming arrows raining down around us, killing everyone we knew? Oh, sure, we heard you." Sawyer says that they looked everywhere. He had Jen going grid by grid, and Rose says, "Yeah, we know. You guys all joined up with the Dharma Initiative." Sawyer doesn't understand why they didn't find a way to signal they were out there, and Rose says, "Because we're retired."
Oh, I love it.
Bernard gives a nod in agreement.
Oh, yeah.
So they all arrive at Bernard and Rose's cabin in the jungle, and Sawyer notices Dharma food cans and says, "So y'all been scavenging food and living out in a hut by yourselves?" And Bernard replies, "People try their whole lives to give themselves a nice, quiet place near the ocean where they can live in peace, and we did it. That's what we made for ourselves."
Fuck yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful way to look at things for the two of them.
Absolutely.
Sawyer apologizes for bursting their bubble and tells them that their retirement is about to go kablooey. Kay tells him that Jack has a bomb and Rose doesn't give a flying fuck. She says, "It's always something with you people. Now you say Jack's got a bomb, and what? You guys going to try to stop him, right? We traveled back 30 years in time, and you're still trying to find ways to shoot each other." Juliet asks which way the barracks are, because if they don't find Jack, then all of them are dead. Bernard says, "So we die. We just care about being together. That's all that matters in the end."
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. these two figured it out. We haven't seen them in season 5 hardly or at all. I can't even remember, but like they fucking figured it out, and I love this scene.
So Juliet looks at Sawyer, who drops his head and turns to look at Kate. Oops.
This is a tough moment.
Juliet notices this, glances at Kate, and looks back at Sawyer. He looks away from Kate, but keeps his head down. Juliet lowers hers as well.
Oof.
Rose points and says the barracks are 5 miles in that direction because everything is 5 miles.
Yep. 5 kilometers.
Kilometers,
Yeah.
Now it's 5 miles.
Sawyer shakes Bernard's hand and then Rose's as he thanks her. Before the three leave, Bernard asks if they like to have some tea. Juliet says, maybe another time.
It was
Heartbroken
really sweet
Juliet.
with Rose and Bernard.
Yeah.
Yes. Because usually they've been annoying, but
No, this is
time
a
they
great
weren't.
scene.
So 2007 on the island, Ilana's leading her group through the jungle. And Lapita says, I wish you'd never show me what was in that damn box. What the hell are you going to do with it anyway? Bram says, we need to show it to somebody so they'll know what they're up against. Even having seen what's in the box, Lapidus is confused about what they're up against. And Bram says, something a hell of a lot scarier than what's in this box, Frank. Don't worry,
Whoa.
though. As long as you're with us, you're fine. I mean, a dead
Whoa.
body's not really scary. It's just dead. You know.
That's
Lapidus tells
true.
me he'll feel better if he knew who they were, and Bram tells him they're the good guys. Lapidus says, in my experience, the people who go out of their way to tell you they're the good guys are the bad guys.
Mhm.
Yep.
How many times did we hear Henry Gale say he was a good guy?
Yeah.
Ilana announces they've arrived, and we can see they're standing outside Jacob's cabin. Bram is alarmed when he notices the broken ash ring around the house, and Ilana says, wait here. Flashback number 5. Sometime before 2007, off the island, an eye opens and peers out from behind bandages. Russian voices are heard. A nurse pushes a trolley and takes the tray with a drink over to Ilana. She puts a straw to Ilana's badly burned lips to give her a sip. She speaks to her in Russian and tells her she has a visitor before leaving the room.
Her whole fucking face is bandaged except for her lips and her eye, but now we see her and she has no burn scars whatsoever. It's weird.
Yep.
Well, Jacob touches her.
Oh, so he healed her.
The
you
same
think?
way he touches Locke, you know?
Yep.
Oh,
She's
okay.
touched by an angel.
Oh.
So we find out that he's not just a pedo.
Oh, God.
So Jacob enters wearing a long black coat and black gloves. He sits next to her bed and apologizes for not making it sooner. The two are speaking Russian, and Ilana says she's happy to see him. So she knows him.
Mm-hmm.
Then in English, Jacob says, I'm here because I need your help. Can you do that? Will you help me, Ilana? And Ilana replies, yes.
Does he actually touch her in this scene, though? Because he also has gloves on. I don't think he does touch her.
I don't know.
She's too old.
No, I oh, my God. I don't think he does touch her, which I think is something that we should notice because he seems to be touching
Right, yeah,
the
he
ones
didn't. I don't think he did.
that were on 815.
Yeah,
not touching
I think,
her.
Yeah, I don't think he's guiding her fate quite the same way.
Right. She's helping him,
Yeah.
and he is helping everyone else or doing something to them. That's yeah. So
Yep.
I think it's actually a detail to pay attention to, that he does have gloves on and doesn't poke her the way he pokes the kids. God.
So 2007 on the island, the door creaks as Ilana enters the cabin. No one is inside. Ilana looks around and notices a blade stuck into a wall, pinning a piece of cloth to it. She examines the fabric, which appears to be a piece of Jacob's tapestry. She leaves the cabin, and Bram asks her what happened. She says, he isn't here, hasn't been in a long time. Someone else has been using it.
Oh.
Someone else.
Well, who have we seen in the cabin so far? Who was there when they were
Christian
in?
Shepherd.
Christian.
Christian Shepherd. And
Who's not Christian
Claire.
Shepherd.
Claire was in there.
And Claire was there. His daughter.
Or were they?
Or
I
were
don't
they? Yeah.
And then she turns to the team and shouts, burn it. As the team throws Molotov cocktails at the house, Lapidus wonders if they'll burn the entire jungle down. Come on, Frank.
Probably not. Yeah.
Come on, Frank. It's green.
Yeah, it's exactly. That's not what burns down.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, the flames, I don't know if you noticed, they were raging like one of the trees was outstretched into the flames. So it would have burned
greenery
that tree.
doesn't burn like that. Like,
No.
Yeah, no, because
you
it's
take
wet.
a big fire to burn down a tropical island.
Right.
Like an H-bomb.
Right.
Well, yeah.
So Bram wants to know what to do next, and Alana hands him the fragment from Jacob's tapestry. We can now see the piece contains a woven tawret. Bram says, well, I guess we know where we're going. As the team picks up the crate and leaves, the cabin fire rages behind them.
They seem to know a lot. Where to go.
Yeah. I mean, she found the cabin, no problem.
Mm-hmm. What's up with the ash ring?
Yeah, I've seen it before. Not sure what it's about.
Was that keeping something out, or was that
it's
keeping
supposed to be some sort of barrier.
Yeah. Was it keeping something in? And that's why he was so upset that it was broken.
Right, because if it's broken, obviously what was in got out.
Right.
So 2007 on the island, Locke's group continues up the beach. They arrive at the remains of the beach camp, which are abandoned and in disarray. Sun notices this is their old camp, and Locke says, home sweet home. He then turns to the group and says, all right, everyone, Richard tells me we should get to where we're going by nightfall, so why don't you all take this opportunity to rest up and catch your breath. Considering what I have planned for you, you're going to need it.
Jesus.
Wow, Locke. Damn.
Fuck.
As the group goes about their business, Locke walks over to Ben to ask if he's all right. Ben says, I was enjoying some alone time. Yeah, can I just rub one out here, Locke? Come on, man. I don't need your nipples over here.
Oh, my God.
So Locke motions behind them where the hatch door is embedded in the sand. He mentions that the hatch is where they first met. Oh. And then says, can I ask you a question? And Ben replies, I'm a Pisces.
Oh, my God.
Locke ignores him and says, what happened that day at the cabin when you first took me to meet Jacob? Ben says it was clear that he was talking to an empty chair, and he was just as surprised as Locke when stuff started flying around the room.
Oh.
Locke wants to know why Ben went to all that trouble to fake a meeting with Jacob, and Ben says, I was embarrassed. I didn't want you to know that I had never seen Jacob, so yes, I lied. That's what I do. No shit.
Wow, that's a vulnerable moment for Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Ben seemed to think that was Jacob's cabin, although Jacob wasn't there because he didn't really think he was invisible. But then now we know something else was in the cabin. And do you remember Locke very clearly heard, help me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay.
So Locke says, all right then, and starts to leave. But Ben stops him and asks Locke why he wants him to kill Jacob. And Locke says,
here it is.
What?
Here it is, the speech, the reasons.
Yeah.
Locke says, because despite your loyal service to this island, you got cancer. You had to watch your own daughter gunned down right in front of you, and your reward for those sacrifices, you were banished. And you did all this in the name of a man you've never even met. So the question is, Ben, why the hell wouldn't you want to kill Jacob?
Whoa.
Does have a point.
Whoa.
Locke walks away, leaving Ben with a conflicted look on his face. There's a brief scene where Sun walks over to Aaron's old crib and finds Charlie's ring.
Aww.
And then we go to flashback number 6 in 2000 off the island. We're at Jin and Sun's wedding and watch them exchange their vows. Jin says, we will never be apart because being apart from you would be like sky being apart from earth.
Aww.
At the reception, the couple is in a receiving line, and Sun's aunt is next in line and immediately asks Sun if they'll have children.
Bitch,
next in line.
Mind your business.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
No, but we're going to practice a lot.
Yeah, we're going to fuck on our honeymoon, lady.
Yeah. Next in line is Jacob, because of course he would be there.
Mm-hmm.
He touches each of them on the shoulder and says in Korean, man, this guy knows a lot of languages too.
Right?
I'd like to offer you my blessing. Your love is a very special thing. Never take it for granted. After he leaves, both are perplexed at precisely who he was. And Jin says, I don't know, but his Korean is excellent.
So far, none of these people who Jacob is encountering is taking their advice.
No,
right?
Not at all.
No. Even to the part of don't take your love for granted, because we see what happens to these two.
Yep.
Well, and I
Yeah.
think it's kind of, extra funny that Jin says his Korean is excellent because Jin didn't speak Korean before.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
The
Started
actor,
filming
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So in 1977, back on the island, the Dharma van is speeding through the jungle, and Hurley says he'll be at the Swan in about 5 minutes because the GPS said so.
Fucking motor pool at this place. They must really, really do a number on the suspension for these things.
I know.
Oh, yeah, 'cause it's hauling ass to that dirt road.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's barely even dirt.
Because we
It's
got
like
experience driving through really shitty roads in Costa
Yeah.
Costa
Rica.
Rica.
Yeah,
Jesus
man.
Christ.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Those are the worst roads.
The road to Monteverde it's like a fucking roller coaster ride. It's so intense.
We did that
dodging
road.
Mack
Remember that?
trucks, and I'm sure you did. If you went to Monteverde, there's like a road there.
Yeah, that was the road we drove up,
up,
and then all that shit happened, and then we had to drive down the next morning, like super early.
Yeah, because you're going. Monteverde is the cloud forest, and what a cloud
Yeah.
forest is basically a
It
jungle.
was about 2 hours, 2.5 hours each way?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
It's only like
yeah.
it's a few miles. I mean, it's not many miles.
No.
Yeah, it's just
But a cloud forest has to be high enough up in the sky that it's higher than a rainforest. It just sits in the
Thank
clouds,
you. I didn't
and
know
it is fucking amazing. Highly recommend it. But the road to
Yeah.
get there is insane. There are like
yeah, it is.
9-foot fucking crater potholes that you have to drive around. There are Mack trucks coming straight at you because even though it's technically a 2-lane road, it's not really a 2-lane road.
No, it's
No.
Yeah. So
Two
you're
lanes if you're going on motorcycles.
yeah,
Yeah.
and delivery trucks, I guess, are just up and down there constantly because there's so many resorts at the top, and so you're just dodging Mack trucks and crater-sized potholes and herds of cows that you have to wait for them to cry. It's unreal. Such an adventure, but at the
But
top,
it's beautiful.
Oh my
It's
God,
beautiful.
Monteverde is
Yep.
one of the most amazing places I've ever been. Anyways, go ahead.
Saeed tells Jack he can't stop the bleeding. Jack tells Jin he needs fresh dressings, and Miles says, Jack, so this bomb is supposed to do what? Blow us back in time? Jack says they aren't going back in time. Miles replies, right, because that would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
I should be going forward in time because they're in 77.
Mhm.
Right.
A dying Saeed says, I need to modify the bomb. I can make it so it detonates on impact because that's what you can do real easily while speeding on a Dharma
Yeah,
van with
right,
no
right.
real
Bleeding
tool.
out
Obvious.
from the yeah.
Yeah, and obviously your knowledge of 1950s like
Right.
nuclear weaponry from the U.S. is just on point.
Right.
Well,
It's
I mean,
that easy to modify.
Although, I mean, to be honest, like he is from Iraq, and it actually wouldn't be that abnormal for him to be learning older U.S. weapons because that's what they have.
Yeah, but not
True.
old nukes.
Not old
Oh,
nukes.
okay. All right, fine. You're right. They wouldn't have a nuke. I think we went to war over the fact that they did, but
Really didn't.
did not actually have nukes. Yeah. Well, now that's
No.
depressing.
Yeah.
All right.
Jack, we need to be there at the moment of the incident or all this will be for nothing. Suddenly, the van screeches to a halt. Jack demands to know why they're stopping, and Hurley says, that's why. They all turn to look out from the windshield. They all turn to look out the front windshield. Standing in front of the Dharma van, blocking their way, are an armed Sawyer, Kate, and Juliet. Lost title screen, end of episode.
What a fucking ending. Both the women standing there holding their pistols and Sawyer with the rifle, and it's just like, whoa. And then, of course, the stares between Sawyer and Jack, and it's just like, holy shit. Here we are again with these two.
Yep.
Good start to the finale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty. Are you ready for some fun facts?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we have finally seen the statue Taweret in all her crocodile face glory. And today we are going to talk about the Egyptian goddess Taweret.
It's hard to say.
It kind of
Yes.
is.
I had to really think about it.
Towerette. And actually, I don't even remember if I completely checked that spelling or the pronunciation, so I could be saying it wrong. But anywho's, the name Towerette, however it's pronounced, means she who is great, or simply great one. And she is the Egyptian goddess of childbirth and fertility, which is interesting. The deity can be depicted in various ways. Still, the most typical is as a bipedal female hippopotamus with feline attributes, pendulous female human. Oh,
That's how you pronounce it.
Towerette.
Towerette. Okay, so I was
Yeah.
saying it right.
You're doing it right, yeah.
Towerette. All right, so
Yep.
Towerette, I was just getting to her pendulous female human breast when you interrupted me. Lion limbs and paws, and a Nile crocodile's back and tail. So
Who wouldn't want to fuck that?
Well, yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So that's the most common way that she's depicted. As you see in the show, she does have a crocodile face, and it looks like back, and a couple other things are different, but it's basically like a combination of those animals because they had such respect for the hippopotamus, the lion, and the crocodile, and so sort of like any combination of that is fine. The Egyptians highly feared and respected the hippo, the lion, and the croc, obviously, because these are the animals that were probably eating them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hippopotamus.
Yes, the hippopotamus. So
His rhymes is
Towerette-
bottomless.
Oh my God. She commonly bears the designation of Lady of Heaven, Mistress of the Horizon, She who removes water, Mistress of pure water, and Lady of the Birth House. Giggity. That sounds hot. So
Does that sound hot?
Lady of the Birth House?
I
Well-
don't think that sounds hot at all.
Have you ever seen Birth?
okay. I was using birth house as a euphemism for vagina.
Oh.
Much hotter than like a house full of women giving birth.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So Towerette guarded the paths to the mountains of the west, which led to the underworld, and could also use magic to help the deceased pass safely through that dangerous and frightening land. In ancient Egypt, female hippopotamuses were revered as manifestations of apotropaic deities as they
Bless you.
as they studiously protect their young from harm. So if you get near a baby hippo, you probably are going to die.
Most likely.
Yes, and so they considered the hippopotamus like a sign of motherhood because of that. So, evidence for the cult, get ready, the cult of the hippopotamus goddesses exists from the time of the Old Kingdom, 2686 to 2181 BCE, in the corpus of ancient Egyptian funerary texts entitled the Pyramid Text. So this is like very old Egyptian writing where they apparently identify a hippopotamus goddess cult.
That sounds fun, actually.
I know. It sounds really exciting, and I want to join. Maybe we could start a new chapter, Christy.
There's probably a chapter in Colombia.
Why would it be in Colombia?
What's the name of the drug lord that was in Colombia?
Oh, who owned hippopotamuses? You mean,
Yes.
Oh my
Escobar.
God. Thank you,
Pablo
Pablo
Escobar.
Escobar. I'm like, why can't I
Yeah.
remember his name? You're
And
right,
his
he did.
hippos that have gone crazy.
Yeah, that's true. They're like terrorizing. All right. So
And there's a whole lot of them.
that's cool. Then we'll just go there and be goddesses.
There's that whole fertility thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so it was not until the Middle Kingdom of Egypt, which is 2055 to 1650 BCE, that Taweret became featured more prominently as a figure of religious devotion. She was considered to be a ferocious demon, as well as a protective and nurturing deity. The very name Taweret is formed as a pacificatory address intended to calm the ferocity of the goddess. Initially, she was viewed as a dangerous and potentially malignant force, but eventually became a mother goddess and a patron of childbirth. She was thought to help with matters of female sexuality, pregnancy, and women in labor. She was called upon to ward off evil spirits and demons who intended to harm mother or baby. And she was often described as the mother or wet nurse of the pharaoh. In fact, in the aforementioned pyramid texts, there is a spell that announces the deceased king will suck on the goddess's white, dazzling, sweet milk when he ascends to the heavens.
Wow.
Ooh, man, that sounds hot. Yeah.
Anyways, so that is Taweret. What do you think about the statue being her?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. Ben?
Finally figured out what it was.
Ben's been stunned to silence over the sweet milk.
Yeah, I mean, all those stuff about like fertility on the island, and now, kind of there's, guarding the mountain, guarding to the mountains to the west, and guarding things from the evil or whatever. You're definitely seeing some parallels with this whole Jacob Man in Black thing. No,
right? Okay, yes. So you mean the Egyptian lore fits now with the island
yes,
in a way.
It's
and Derek, she's not doing a good job with the fertility on the island because she's not there anymore. She's a foot now.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. And maybe
how did that thing get there anyway?
Maybe the fertility on the island wasn't allowed because the seal around that cabin was broken. The thing that was let out, so we could no longer.
Or the
no
statue.
longer have children
I mean,
there.
we still don't know how the statue went from there to a foot, do we?
Nope.
Any guesses?
Possibly an atomic bomb.
Yeah.
We will explore that later. All right. Let's do some best and worst moments. I'm going to start with Christy.
My best and worst moment is the same. I loved when Bernard said, "So we die. We just care about being together. That's all that matters in the end." And Rose and Bernard gave each other the most beautiful, loving look. But it was also the worst moment because you can see how heartbroken Juliet is when she notices that Sawyer looks at Kate in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, that is fucking tough. You're right.
Yeah.
That is one of those double best and worst. Wow. What about you, Ben?
I mean, same. That's one of the ones that definitely stood out. But also, like, for worst, did Nadia get killed? I mean, that was just, you knew it happened, but then to see it happen, it was like, God damn, that's rough. And then also like Jack's pistol rampage, that just sort of pissed me off. I think my favorite two moments were like at the very end with the tree, with them just kind of posing with guns blocking the road. That was just a fun way to end the episode.
Oh, I thought that was fucking perfect. Yes. Yeah,
and then when they open the box and Lapidus says, "Terrific."
Oh yes, that is another fucking great line. That's so good. All right, Derek, what about you?
Yeah, I thought the Rose and Bernard moment was good, but my favorite moment was just the opening sequence because we can finally see who the fuck Jacob is. And we have this other guy that says he can't wait to kill him. I mean, what's going on there? Or how badly I want to kill you.
Yeah.
See, one thing I do remember is Jacob and the Man in Black. I know that that's a thing. So that, while that was good, yeah.
And that he didn't snare a fish.
Okay.
And the worst moment was like Nadia getting killed by the car. I was just very sad.
Yeah, agreed. I had three things in my best. Two of them have been mentioned. One, the opening scene between Man in Black and Jacob. Two, the scene between Rose and Bernard. And then I also have, I'm a Pisces.
Yeah, that was funny. That was going to be an
So
honorable
fucking
mention
great.
for me. Yeah.
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 So fucking great.
I'm a power bottom.
Whoa.
So yeah, and then also I obviously like Nadia snapped in half was really awful and hard to watch. And then just God damn it. What that this happened to Saeed and everything that he's been through. And then also it was kind of like, did Jacob do that? And if he did, what does that mean? Like, Saeed just has to have this other destiny that he can't have her? He can't have Shannon? Something about like Saeed's life. It's just all depressing to me. It's so sad.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where I feel about that. Let's do some rankings, huh? How about Christy?
At the bottom of the bottom, I have Roger Workman for shooting Saeed. Honestly, if somebody shot my kid, I would probably shoot them if given the chance, but we all just hate Roger Workman. Redzinski in the middle, because he's just such a fucking asshole. And then at the top of the bottom, I have Locke.
Wow.
Because, like 1 minute he's telling Richard, oh, I just want to thank Jacob. And the next minute he's telling Ben, you're going to murder him.
Right.
So we can clearly see that this Locke is drastically different from the other Locke.
Right. Right. And I mean, and honestly, we'll have to decide if after this is over with the aggregate, if we want to give all this season's points to the Man in Black, since that's actually who it is.
Or have Locke and not Locke.
Locke and not Locke.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll think about that. But yeah, Christy, like watching it from the perspective that if you haven't seen episode 17 first, it's certainly like, what the hell is going on with you, buddy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
In the top, at the bottom of the top, I have Dr. Chang. He really seems to understand that they are not necessarily doing the best thing.
Yeah,
on this
agreed.
island.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle, I have Bernard.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the top, I have Juliet, just because of that moment where we can, see how sad she is, but she's still been kicking ass this whole episode.
Absolutely.
Fuck and kill. I have Richard and Frank for fuck.
Ooh,
and Redzinski for kill, because
nice.
We just need to kill Redzinski.
All right. Ben, how about you?
Let's see. For third worst, I've got Phil sitting there barking orders like he's in charge. Fuck that guy and his eyebrows. Second place, I've got Redzinski for, obvious reasons. And the worst spot, I've got Locke / the Man in Black, which we know. But his focus, you now see, is about murder, and now he's talking about murdering all of the other people. So, like, this is very clearly at this point, this is not Locke that we're talking about or that we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Sure.
we'll have to figure out at what point we're gonna switch this character up within the
Right.
rankings. For third best, I've got Jacob, because he seems, even though we don't really know what he is or anything like that, he definitely seems to be sort of a gentle spirit and a compassionate spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And second place, I got Richard Alpert, which he wasn't in this episode a whole lot, but it was kind of refreshing to see him over these last couple episodes, sort of in a place where, like, sort of like Eloise was talking about, he doesn't know what's happening. Like, he's really sort of just like fascinated, sort of scared of what he's seeing, of like the Locke that he sees.
Right.
And he knows something, like he sniffs something's not quite right, but he doesn't know what it is. And then in the top slot, I've got Juliet, because
she comes through, man.
Yeah, she comes through, and she's going into a very, very difficult position right now, and she handles it all with a lot of surprising amount of grace.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
that is a good point.
I am going to, normally I'd fuck Juliet in this situation, but I feel so sorry for her right now that I just, like, it's not sexy at all. So I'm gonna have a threesome with Kate and Alana. And then I'm going to, at the same time, I'm going to kill Redzinski.
So you're just going to start firing your gun while fucking, yeah.
At the same
bam,
time.
bam.
Oh,
No,
my goodness.
I had a slightly different configuration in mind, but we won't get into that.
Oh, my God. Alrighty, I'm gonna go next. In the worst at the bottom, third worst, I put Locke because he did say he wanted to kill everyone. So that's not
There's
a good
that.
thing.
Yeah.
And then second worst, I have Phil because I'm tired of his face. And top of the worst, I have Radzinski because I'm tired of his neck beard and his voice. At the top, in third best and second best, I have Rose and Bernard in that order. I love that they're retired. Bernard seems calmer. I think Rose seems calmer. I thought their little house they built and the idea that they just stayed out of Jack and Kate and Sawyer's bullshit. Like, it just, I love it and I'm proud of them and I love what they said. And we will talk more about what Bernard says here as season 6 goes on and then the show ends. But yeah, at the top I have Jacob. A lot of the same reasons that were already said. It's like I don't really know exactly what he's doing and what he's up to, but I'm watching him touch the characters that I love, and it seems like he's choosing them in some way for something. And I am fascinated by him, I guess. And that's like the same reason when Richard Albert first turns up. He's in my top, even though I didn't really know what's going on with them. I'm so intrigued that they end up there. Fucking kill. I am going to fuck Saeed because he's dying and because that flashback and everything was depressing. He needs a good, grief fuck. And then I'm going to kill Roger Workman because he shot Saeed. And although agreed, shooting the person who shot your son is not totally unreasonable outside of the fact that nobody should be shooting each other. But he didn't even like Ben, so fuck him. Ridiculous. All right, Derek, what about you?
All right, so my third worst is Phil, just because he's Phil. Second worst is Radzinski, because he still wanted to keep drilling. Drill, baby, drill.
Oh, no.
Yep. Even after, being warned, he didn't care because, electromagnetism. My worst of the worst is Locke because he's just wanting to murder people. And at this point, I realized this probably isn't Locke.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's not Locke. My third best is actually Jack because, I know what he's doing and probably causing, what happens in the future, but he's doing what, he thinks is right. His life has been kind of shitty since all this happened.
Yep.
He had that beard and all that, so. My second best was Rose because, she's enjoying retirement, just staying out of the shit, and she wasn't belittling Bernard for once.
Nope.
Yep.
And then
Can you
Jacob,
imagine them building that house, though? God,
You're no
Bernard,
Bob
you're doing
Vila.
it wrong.
you're not a carpenter.
Oh, my God.
You're no Tim the Tool Man Taylor.
Oh, no.
And my best is Jacob because I've been hearing about this guy for a long time. We finally get to meet him. And he seems to be apparently doing something good, at least what I'm thinking now. And I'm going to fuck Alana and I'm going to kill Radzinski.
All right. I saw that Alana fuck come in earlier when you said she could, what did you hurt you or whatever? Okay. What are the rankings, Ben, after episode 16? I'm a little surprised. I see there's been some shakeup here that I did not expect.
Let's see. Yeah, we've got, I think at the bottom, I think Ethan fell out of the bottom, and we now have Phil
Ethan.
at third place with negative 50 points.
Fuck that guy.
Yep. Yeah. And we got Charles Widmore, didn't change. He's still in second place with negative 61 points, and Radzinski running away with it with negative 105 points.
Wow. He's like trying to match Sawyer, but in the opposite direction.
And in the top three, we have Locke falling out of third place. There's your shakeup with Juliet taking the third spot with 60 points. Dan Faraday staying in second place with 81 points, rest his soul. And Sawyer neither gaining nor losing points, but staying at 133 points.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Was it just last week we had decided we knew our top 3 or 2 weeks ago? And here comes fucking Juliet. Amazeballs. I'm so happy for her. All right. So, shall we do some final impressions of episode 16 and then go on and end this show?
Sure.
This is where you say yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my God. All right, let's start with Ben.
I think I've already said pretty much everything. We talked a lot about, we kind of summarized this all the way through the show, so I don't really think I have a whole lot more to add. I do like the fact that they set up the sort of light dark thing at the beginning, and you see these two people or these two forces or these two entities or whatever back in the 1860s on the island looking at this boat, looking at the Black Rock or whatever. So it definitely sets up this sort of ancient combat between light and dark.
Absolutely. Like the backgammon.
Yeah, exactly
game,
right. Yeah.
Right? Like the visualization we got in season 1, we are now, seeing in not a stone form.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we see, Jacob kind of appearing in all of these different places and speaking different languages and touching people, all these people that end up on the island. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely some sort of, there's some sort of guiding force there that he represents. I'm not really sure what it is or why. But he, again, seems like a compassionate, kind of gentle soul. So I have to feel like, he's trying to set them on some sort of path that is good all in all. I also think, getting a little more when Alana and that group show up and they're talking about, what's in the shadow of the statue, and they come to where you thought the cabin was, and you see that the circle is broken, and that kind of elicits like, what are we talking about? Does that mean something was let out? Something was let in? If something was let out, what was being captured? What was captive there? It definitely sort of deepens that whole narrative of like this light versus dark thing of a lot of things that we haven't really seen.
Right.
And I think, in this episode, I'm fairly certain at this point, Locke is no longer Locke. We don't actually find that out until the next episode, but this is where I start thinking, okay, we're actually dealing with an evil spirit here. Or if not evil, a spirit that just wants to get out.
He's a demon.
Yeah. But no, I thought this was a really good episode. Some of the wacky gunplay aside, it was a really fun episode.
You're right. Christy, how about you?
I really liked this episode. Like I said, I remembered that Jacob and the Man in Black were a thing. I remember what they look like and all that. But it's nice to finally get to meet them on the show again. We definitely have moved quite a bit, of the story forward, answered some questions, created more questions.
Right.
Really, really good episode. I liked it.
All right. Yeah, I love it too. I think it's fantastic. Lead in to the end of the season. I loved meeting Jacob, seeing that like he's always been there. He's been around everyone that we have come to love over the 5 seasons. We meet the Man in Black, who's like this other force that we didn't necessarily know about. Again, the tension about the box is building. We talked about what's inside of it, obviously, this episode, but you don't find out until the next episode. So many great lines, the terrific, the I'm a Pisces. And then Locke is Breaking Bad. Like, what the fuck? What is even happening here? And I just feel like it's... the story always continues to be fresh. It's like I never get bored when I'm watching Lost, save for maybe a couple weird scenes or a bad episode here and there. But the story, the overarching, story, it's always fresh. It's always changing, and it's always keeping my interest. And this episode is like an example of that, I think, for sure.
Razzle dazzle.
There you go. Derek, what did you think about this episode? What questions did it answer? Which ones did it make? And like, how excited were you to jump right into the next one after you saw this?
Oh, I thought it was an excellent episode because, we finally get to find out who Jacob is. But at the same time, we also are introduced to the Man in Black.
Yeah, surprise! Another
what?
character.
Who apparently has been with Jacob for a very long time. I mean, maybe the island's a prison or something, and they're trying to keep this Man in Black entity on it, and maybe Jacob's like the warden. Who knows?
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, that is an astute observation, and we will explore that idea in season 6.
And of course, Jack is still wanting to detonate the nuke, and Juliet decides that they got to go back and stop Jack, so they get off the sub. So there's some, like, the Jacob question was a big one answered, but now the biggest question is, who's the Man in Black?
Oh.
And what's in the box? What's in the box?
That's a really interesting point that you brought up, Derek. So you think maybe the Jacob is in charge, and the others, the indigenous others, are what, prison guards?
Could be.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's interesting. And Ben, it seemed like Ben had sort of the same kind of feeling about that, about something getting out.
Well, like the cabin, the ring around it, all that stuff. They're trying to, I think they're keeping something in, not out.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Okay. Wow. How exciting. All right, listeners, you don't even have to wait at all to hear Season 5, Episode 17, The Incident, Part 2. It's out right now. We get some more crazy gunfights for Ben's enjoyment.
Oh, yeah.
We see more of Jacob interfering in our Losties' lives, and we find out who's in the box and if he's successful in killing Jacob. Go download the episode right fucking now. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Razzle dazzle. Lost in My 40s is a Space Bear Media production. Executive produced and edited by me, Lacey J. Sound engineering, editing, and original music by Benjamin Trimp. Like and follow Lost in My 40s on Facebook and Space Bear _media on Instagram and Threads. Plus, follow Space Bear Media on YouTube for extra video content. Or for everything in one place, go to spacebearmedia.com.